Once again, I wasn't very clever. I managed to start working without pressing start. So today we are using oil pastels, which look something like that. Can you see that? There we are. These are Sennelier ones, which, as you can see from the state of my fingers already, after 1 minute, they're in a right mess. Lovely, lovely soft crayons. And we're going to do something that probably some of you did at primary school, when you did wax crayons and created a resist with then some watercolour. Now, or water-based paint. Now, I'm using my non-dominant hand for the oil pastels, because I want to get a kind of quite, I don't know, what's the word I want? I want a very physical response. Those of you who did the initial 30 days of doodling with me, you remember using non-dominant hand, getting some quite interesting mark making, and I think you can get really good mark making for even finished pieces. I know quite a lot of artists who use their non-dominant hand on a regular basis to get some interesting effects. So I'm just kind of playing around with colour a bit, adding a little bit of colour that maybe I'm imagining. So the trees are very twisted here, all been battered and blown over by the strong winds. A bit of green. So what I'm drawing here is actually, I've just gone and lost the photos, which isn't helpful. Oh dear, where have they gone? Never mind, they'll come back. No, my pictures are completely gone. That's really helpful. Never mind. I think I can just make it up if I have to. See if I can find them again. So this was a Romano-British site, not a hill fort or anything, just at the top of, what's the word I'm looking for? Top of a hill, sort of lowish hill, and it was like going to a proper Roman site, to be honest. There was lots and lots of really interesting stonework, and there was something called a fogu, which is like a kind of burial, sacred place that you could actually climb into, which was amazing, really. Well, I thought it was amazing. Very atmospheric. It was quite desolate and windy up there. That's a big rock. Some little walls there. And I need to focus a bit more, I think, on the tree. I'm just going to do a little bit more on the rock, because it's sort of... I'm using my other hand. I think, you know what, it's fine to use both hands when you're drawing. I think it adds to it, to be honest. So a bit more. Right, now I'm going to focus a bit more on the trees. Get that sort of sweeping down effect. And kind of clambering along. And then some of them are going right up, growing quite tall for around this part. So let's get some of them have got quite a lot of lichen on, so it's nice sort of licheny colour I like. And then in the distance there's some really quite vivid orange dry dead bracken, so let's add a bit of that in. There's a bit over here as well, and just down the front. So it needs a little bit of purpley pink in it, I think, as well. That's it. Okay, so what am I looking for? Oops, dark, not really darker than that. Do a bit more on some of those trunks. Right, I think it's time. I'm going to move those out of the way. I'm going to use some watercolour now. Oh, watercolour actually stuck to the bottom of that. So here are my watercolours. You can see nice and manky, as usual. I'm going to use quite a soft but quite a big brush. You see, I can't even tell you what number it is because it's completely covered in paint. Might be a sort of 6 or an 8. You see that? So I'm going to add a bit of green first of all. So I need to buy some more sap green paint. So I'm adding some water. And certainly straight away, I don't know if you can see. No, you can't quite see. Let's see if I can move. Oh. There we are, just down here. That's kind of doing something. And then where are the darker greens? There's some darker green here and darker green up there. So, and then there's some darkish green here as well. And then we want some more of that lightish green where some of that bracken was. The green and the orange together are just always another one of my favourites, really. Now we want a slightly more sombre brown up there. And then we need something for the stonework. So it's a kind of sort of ochre beigey colour just over the oil pastels. Just kind of adds to it, I think. We don't have to cover the whole page with paint. That's the other thing to remember. It doesn't all need it. So be willing to leave some gaps. And sort of green behind. Now the sky is kind of sort of mud coloured, really. I need to add a little tiny bit of blue to it. A bit of little tiny bit of blue, sort of bluey grey. Not quite the colour I wanted, but never mind. What I might do is get a bit of tissue and damp some of that off after. So I'm using, I've hardly got any Payne's grey left in here. Sort of a bit of grey, bit of green, bit of blue. Get some tissue, just splodge it a bit, lighten it. That's better. Hopefully you'll see this more when I've finished. need some nice bright yellow round here. It's really a kind of green, but it's quite yellow and poppy. Right, now what I want is a thinner brush. I've got a nice thin one here to do some more detail on the trees. So I'm going to start off with a bit of brown. And do some branches. Now what will happen is some of the time it will take and some of the time it won't, because there'll be the resist from the oil, which is I quite like. It's quite an interesting effect. I think actually a little bit more of that sort of mud colour behind the trees here before. Add in, there we are. And what we've done with tissue, there we are. Let's pull it down. Oh, excuse me. Right, dab that off a bit. That's it. Right, now let's add some more of the tree. So I think I'm going to use a bit of this very dark blue. Kind of conveys shadow, a bit of, oh, I don't know, a bit of atmosphere, a bit of history. Thinking about that blue woad of the British. I know, I'm kind of just fantasising here, aren't I? I do like using a very dark blue for shadows though. It is quite effective. And I like the way the blue reacts with that sort of greeny grey I've used as well. Right, then I need some darker colour, I think. So go back into Payne's grey. Add some more